this exciting video where you once again join me in the beautiful landscape of Scotland. And for today's adventure I'm actually starting at an area that we've been to a couple of times, and we're away to punch on into lands that we've never been to before. I'm basically parked at Glen Moy, and recently we were on some mad adventures. Before I had the mountain bike back on the go, we went on crazy adventures all the way around here. But today's video, we're basically going to punch over this direction here and go on to roads and into lands that we've never been. This is actually Sunday for me, and like yesterday was Saturday, and we had the craziest like thunder and lightning and mad weather. So like today I'm finally able to get back out, and yeah, I've got the mountain bike right here folks, and we're away to punch over the hill, so let's get into action. Check this out folks, I've made it over the first hill. There's the valley of Glen Moy that I've just come from, and now we've come over here. I can actually see in the foreground a wee croft that I have visited before. Me and Highlander were there a few months ago, but the track I'm wanting to go actually leads up the far side of that hill over there. And it looks like it's uphill all the way, and then it goes over the top of that hill, and I'm curious to see what's over there, and that's what today's adventure is all about. It's cool off and uncovering wee nuggets of history that's kind of hidden and forgotten in these remote lands. The mountain bike makes it possible to push on that a little bit further. Whoa, I keep hitting those bumps as I'm speaking. It's hard controlling the bike sometimes on these tracks, because you think it's smooth, you get a bit of speed up and then boom, there's pebbles and stuff. When you're holding the camera, you sometimes go flying. Yeah, what an adventure. The actual heather's starting to come out this year, and it's quite early. Some years it's like August, September before it's out, but here we are in June, and I've seen a lot of flowering heather on these hills. Anyway, my track basically weaves in front of me and then cuts over to the right, over past that quarry kind of bit, and then it looks like down at the bottom of the hill there is actually sheep and cows within this area of land, which is pretty mental. I'm hoping if I just stick to the road we should be okay, but I do have a big hole. I have to go down into this big dip and then back up. I'll update you once about the far side of the glen. I'll probably be out of breath going up that hill though for sure. Anyway folks, let's keep the action going here. Look at this folks, I'm around the corner, I've switched the camera on. There's a massive toad here, this little dot. I'm going to try and get a close-up of him, but he's going to probably jump away. Look at him. He's absolutely massive. Friendly Scottish toad. Hello! What a cool dude. He was on the path and I came around and I swerved and then he ran. And this is where he stopped. I thought he would totally like run away before I got a chance to get the camera on. Check him out. Toads and stuff are so cool. And this is like prime land for them. That's the kind of thing probably the adders are out here hunting for as well. Look at this, the wee croft's actually here, and I'm now at the far side of the glen. I'm not on that uphill stretch like, but that was a killer coming through that valley and up the hill there. Whew, the conditions are so humid. I only put on this coat today because I was thinking like it's good to have the pockets for the camera, but really I didn't need it. So we'll see how we get on. It's so hot. I'm hoping to get to the top of that other hill at the far side. So let's see how this adventure goes folks. From this point onwards really it's lands that I've never been. And that's what I love on the channel, it's just crazy. And in these hills and glens here there's just stone outlines of little buildings and little settlements from hundreds of years ago. That's why I love exploring it, and I always say the wildlife, and it's because of beasts like that toad. He's like trying to hide in the grass, but the wildlife is just incredible. Such a variation of animals, including the birds of prey that go over my head. So that's the gate there folks, at the top of that hill section, and now I'm greeted with this view here into the next valley. And this is the area that I was kind of curious to see and to explore on today's video. Wow, what a scene here. It's always crazy, the different valleys, the wee historical nuggets that's in each one. Normally each one has got something. That's why I love adventures like this. You never know what's around the corner. Sometimes in these situations too, there could be like a private residence or a farm, and I might hate to turn around here and get out of here basically. I'm basically looking for the abandoned things that's not been seen, only maybe by locals or whatever, but hardly seen for years and years by others. Whoa, I'm going over the middle of the road there. Look at this land folks. It's so warm in this sunshine. The breeze is actually quite nice when it comes on the go. yeah, I'm curious just to always see what's round the corner. Look at all these other valleys here opening up as we come further down the hill. Exploring Scotland's just like exploring some crazy like fairy tale world. Yeah, it actually looks like there's some kind of like current farm or a house over here on the left. I was just trying to like analyse what I'm seeing here. The roof and stuff on it looks brand new. That's sometimes the way in Scotland, you can tell like if it's abandoned or what the crack is. Yeah, look, it's like there's been an old track going down that way. I'm not even sure what way to go. I reckon that must be a private residence there for sure, but who even knows? Yeah, there's another track leading off that way. So check out this scene, folks. I've come a wee bit further and there's this cool little old cottage with a stone slab roof, and then look at these old sheds. I think there is actually remains of an old mill or something in that shed, but I'm not really wanting to go poking about because it looks like obviously a private residence. The windows look pretty much like brand new or pretty new, so I'm not wanting to go in, poke about people's stuff. I just like going around these wee tracks over the hills, and like I say, I like documenting the stuff that is abandoned, like this old shed here. I'm so gassed out. Some of these hills are so steep, and in the humid conditions today it's just hard to get the breath. Look at this side, folks. That roof looks brand new though, so I think it has been done up probably for estates, or could even be a gamekeeper's house, or the shooting, something for the shooting. Look at the lambs. Hello. I'm so gassed out, I keep saying it, but there's actually like some stone remains there on the hill behind the sheep. Yeah, I was wanting to punch on a wee bit further. I wonder if behind there's actually been a water wheel in ancient time. Yeah, look, there still is. It's obviously in this person's garden, but I'll go down the fence line. I'll lay the bike here, folks. I'll show you this old historical water wheel. We'll just look from the field's edge, obviously with respect of like the landowner. But it's cool to document the history before it's gone forever. Yeah, look through here. Wow. So this is an incredible little historical wonder, folks, and it's definitely worth documenting this before it's gone forever. Look at that, the old iron water wheel, and that's what makes these adventures so cool. It's actually in unique, incredible condition. And then look at that, the old mill apparatus is still mounted there, leading into the shed. It looks really worn. It's probably done a fair old day's work. And this is proper like cast iron and stuff, but like I say, this shed's obviously kept and maintained. I'm just literally documenting this before it's gone forever, folks, and here you are, you can see it. Each individual part, the way it's put together, sometimes updated and maintained and even used into like the 1960s or whatever. You can see the detail where the old wooden paddles have been, and look, this one's still in position. Wow, folks, what a scene of history. Each of the gears as well is held on to the shaft with like metal pins. And there's even parts lying here, metal items. This would have probably had a wee roof on it at one time, like a wee shed. And there'll be a lot more waterworks under the ground here. The water most likely flowed under to turn this one. And I just love that, folks. It's obviously, like I say, come with respect to landowners when you come to look at stuff like this. But imagine that when it's churning and turning. Wow, it's made this adventure worth it to keep pushing on up these hills to see that. I often think something like that to me is just as cool as like an abandoned house or whatever. Each thing here tells a little story of the farm or the mill history on the lands here. And that would have been a thriving big farm here on the hill. Obviously the house is probably still updated and maintained and kept, potentially lived in, but obviously the water wheel there is just fully gone almost. It's just the cast iron and the slight bit of wood there to tell the story. That's what I love, the big gears and stuff going into the shed. It's just amazing. Anyway, let's have a wee look over this hill. So up on the hill here, folks, behind the farm, there would have actually been a little dam or a source of water which fed with a sluice mechanism like under the ground to feed that water wheel with the water. And look over at this side, you can actually see the old wall lines from the fields. Most likely a small croft, and then a decent sized farm after a while, and then one day it's probably been amalgamated into the local estate or whatever. Or sometimes these old crofts have been here since the days of the Highland clearances, and then different landowners and stuff are getting the opportunity to manage the land. But yeah, it's amazing just to see this. Each of the crofts I document are obviously in different conditions, but with that one there, it's more just staying outside the building, no going poking about, because if it's got a new roof, it's quite obvious that it's a building which is maintained and kept to the current standards. Like for the estate, I've just noticed something cool, folks. I was speaking about the actual water supply that would have been here. And let's take a look at this, because I think I've just seen the dam. I was right beside the dam there, folks, when I was talking about it. Yes, see this here? This is the ancient dam, folks, which actually fed the Waterwheel originally. So this is part of the history of that farm, almost forgotten on the hill. Look at the clear outline here, as you can see. And there's actually an interesting fenced off bitty there. And what that might be is some sort of pipe or device for opening and closing the water down to the farm. It was probably piped under the ground, Ken, so it would be coming under the track behind the farm. They did so much with water back at that ancient time. Right now I'm standing where the water would have been, and it would have been dug out. I'm so gassed, I'm out of breath. When I'm vlogging, I don't get a chance to catch my breath. That's how sometimes in the footage I'm total gassed when I'm trying to speak. Look at this view right here. I don't want to go too far either today, because Highlander's actually coming out. Whoa, there's a funny beastie on my thumb. I got such a fright when I looked at the camera. But yeah, Highlander's actually way to come out, so I'm going to punch back to the car. What a mad place this was to find, the Highland Croft, or it's probably not the Highlands, it's the Angus Glens old croft here. Well, still current buildings, but the Waterwheel and stuff, that's what I love. Look at this halberd here behind me hovering to. So much wildlife. Sometimes these old mill dams were strategically placed on the land to be fed from many water sources off the hill. Sometimes that's why it would be here and like maybe not over there. This area here would have been prime for the flow of water filling this up. And it is amazing just to piece all these things together. You can see one of the main waterways coming in that direction. Probably so many more. They often get covered up and filled in over the years. Just like this, you have to think it was probably 2 or 3 times this depth. And it just makes you wonder what's under that little fenced off kind of bit. And I love piecing together the history. That's what I often say, it's like a puzzle. And when you explore, there's often more and more to it. And then by the time you've explored a location, you kind of get an idea of how it really was when it was in its prime. When it was first built, each of these sections built as a prime part of the farm operations. Basically a mill and a water wheel like that would have been the latest bit of technology that every farmer would want. Some farms had the source of water for the water wheel, but other farms just had a similar mechanism, but it was actually turned from a cow or a horse walking round and round in a circle. And that's some of the other history that's almost forgotten. Anyway, let's head back down this road. Over this side it's just more tracks going into different valleys and moors. One day we'll hit a punch on. I still need to navigate my way pretty far back round towards Glenmoy at this stage. What an adventure. I need to change up the gears here with my right hand. Here we go, folks. I'm going to record as we go down here. There's actually quite a wind now that I've come up to this height of the dam on the hill. It's amazing because I don't use Google Earth around and find these places. I just go on spontaneous adventures. And here we are. More and more stuff every week. So there it is, folks. That would have been a thriving farm at one time. An individual farm. Probably a family that lived there for generations and years, farming away in this land. And then now it's no more than a private residence. It's amazing to see the old historical wonder at the back of that shed. The old water wheel. It's so cool I was able just to have a quick look without having to walk through the main property. And look, I'm heading back up here along to the right. There's so many of these tracks around Scotland. It's so much fun on the mountain bike. And it does make it so much more fun as well when there's wee historical nuggets to be found. Interesting things. Engineering. That's most likely been 1800s they constructed a lot of that dam and stuff, but it was probably updated and maintained as far as the Waterwheel goes into the 1900s, because they used those sort of mills even into the 60s in some of these glens. Check it out folks, I'm back into the original valley here and I've got a great view of that old other croft. That croft up ahead, basically, I was there a few months ago with Highlander and it's so different seeing it now that all the grass has kind of got that green colour. A few months ago it was proper all yellow and dead still for the winter, but now it's just such a different land. There's loads of cows still chilling down in the hollow, but when I saw that landscape I thought I need to throw the camera on the way back here. This is so cool folks, my path actually goes past this other little croft here on the hill. It's really windy around this side of the glen, but it's a nice cool wind from a bike ride. And yeah, look at the character of the stonework with this one. This croft also actually had a water wheel, but it's now gone. Probably the metal parts were scrapped or whatever. But it's crazy to think the people that lived at this old croft maybe did business with the people at the croft we documented in today's video with the water wheel. They maybe sold each other cows or sheep, or did trade out here on the wild land. And like, you can see the old wall line there. Maybe at one time more sheds or a different type of building. So cool. Yeah, I just thought I would throw the camera on my way back around here. It is crazy, like when I was coming flying down that hill, that was the best section of the whole adventure. I just love flying along on the bike. Anyway, let's keep going folks. The adventure's not over yet. I still need to bash my way back to the car. So look at this folks, this is what all of today's crofts would have probably looked like originally. These are how the original buildings would have been. Obviously these ones have been knocked down or whatever. I often say 1700s or whatever in my videos, but a lot of the time that's how long ago these buildings and stuff date to and from or whatever, or before it. Some of them's even older. I'm so gassed out and tired after cycling up the hill folks. I'm hardly making sense when I'm speaking here. I really should catch my breath before I start vlogging. Yeah, in today's video we've been way over the other side of that far hill and then kind of back up, and that's where the other farm was. But it is cool to see them, how the one with the water wheel was in decent condition. Like, it looked like the house was still potentially lived in, and then you see that middle croft which is abandoned with no water wheel, and then this one which is even further gone. It shows you the progression of farms which were abandoned at different times in history. Like this one here would never have had a water wheel. That technology wouldn't have been a thriving thing back in the day, but this has had a few buildings here, and then the little field in front of it. And then maybe beyond that, land that was cleared for crops or whatever, or even grazing lands. And wow, yeah, what a peaceful spot. I love to see it, the old remains of the building, and in my mind I imagine how it would have been when it was in its prime. Maybe the folk that stood here looking out over their land. And I think there's even been a little waterway or a dam at the bottom of the hill at a certain time as well. Wow, what a scene folks. What a scene of Scotland. Maybe next time I'll have to go up over some of these other tracks. There's always so much to be explored in Scotland. I love seeing these crofts in different conditions and different stages of abandonment. The way that nature covers them over and takes them over. Incredible scenes folks. Anyway, let's punch over to the other side of this hill. So check it out folks, this is me coming back down the hill towards my car there. It's a tiny speck at the bottom of the hill. But yeah, I don't know how well you can hear me because the wind is so extreme around this side of the hill. But I'm going to end this one here folks. Thanks very much for tuning in to another adventure, documenting a piece of forgotten Scottish history that we've never seen before on the channel. That old cast iron water wheel there with actual bits of wood still in position from the original paddles and stuff. That's what I love to find. History almost gone and forgotten in such wild, remote places folks. Anyway, I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.